Hey everyone, today I want to talk about the different opens for investigations. So, when we talk about opens on an investigation, it's how you open up the paranormal research. When you go into a location, is it going to be a relaxed one where, you get to home base and you say, okay, what do you guys think? Where should we go first? This, that. There is what we call the traditional open or the traditional approach, where it's simply, okay, this is the itinerary. We know where everyone's going to go, which means that we know that everyone's going to experience everything. And then there is the scientific approach, which is very strict, very scientific, and it's almost the opposite of open. And really, this is a spectrum where we have the open one where, hey, when we get there, who wants to be at what role, where do we want to go, to the traditional, which is in the middle, which is what we typically use, which is, okay, here's the itinerary, these are the different places that we want to go to. We want to make sure that our teams are rotating to the different spots to make sure that everyone on the team experiences everything, and they're going to be these set roles. It's just a lot easier to record everything. And lastly, is strict is, it could be anything from hours of setup, hours of cameras being set up, like security cameras, everything. So I really only have experience with the strict in the sense of I've seen groups that go over their evidence and they're very strict and but that kind of passion. Their goal is to connect the paranormal to the science field and really get the science field to recognize that the paranormal is part of science. And hats off to you. That is a very, very hard thing to do, at least for me. And there needs to be groups out in the paranormal field that are doing that are very, very, very strict on their evidence and very strict on their methods. So I applaud you, hats off. I'm glad you're doing that work. That's just not something that I teach. I think the paranormal field is a wonderful, wonderful field. And then wait over here for the open, which is like a relaxed open. It's the complete opposite. It's where you go in there, I wouldn't say willy-nilly, but you use your feelings, you use, hey, you know what, just on the fly, Gino, do you want to be the camera operator or the photographer, or where should we go first? You just really relax, go with the flow, which is also fun. I've done investigations like that, and it's different, it breaks up the monotony of it all, but I personally bias, huge fan of the traditional. For the itinerary, if something does happen, I know concrete where everyone was during that time, what roles everyone was, so I can track it, so I can make sure that I know, what's going on. And when we go back for evidence review, it just adds credibility to it. The whole organizational factor is brilliant. I know every team's going to experience every inch of the location, and everyone's like, if we only have 6 hours, I want to make sure that there's time for duo runs, for solo runs, that everyone experiences everything. It kind of keeps everyone on track, on pace. So it's very, very important, at least for me, to make sure that it's a nice, traditional, organized, standpoint. Now, whether you want to call it an open, whether you want to call it an approach, it's probably more clearly defined as an approach. When you do different investigations with different approaches, you're going to see the members of your team really shine. Because there's a lot of people that really shine when it's a relaxed investigation. And you're going to see that there's a lot of people that really shine when there's an organized investigation, like our traditional setup. And strict investigations, there are people that flip that switch on, are very meticulous about that stuff. Whether it's security cameras, regular cameras, just making sure like a bulk of the investigation is setting up and making sure everything's perfect so there's no errors. But I think if you're somewhere in the middle where you're decently organized, you know what's going on, You want to make sure that everyone experiences everything, and you're not super strict. I think you're going to have a good time. But the reason why there's so many different approaches, and of course it's a spectrum. There could be different types, different, blends of all the approaches, but that's, for Paranormal 101, that's kind of the approach that you're going to see, when you look at teams. There's going to be teams that go in there and trust their gut. There's going to be teams that go in there and that are organized. And there's teams that are going to go in there and that are super strict. And I'm glad that you get to identify the 3 different types, and of course the blends on the spectrum. And because you're starting your paranormal adventure, if you're starting a group, what kind of group do you want to be? If your goal is to really prove to the science community or to someone that the paranormal is real, you might want to lean even more scientific or more strict than, say, someone who just wants to create some awesome memories with their buddies, who might want to do open and maybe sometimes have a structure if it's a big location. This is the beauty of the paranormal field. You can pick and choose what you want to do. So this is Paranormal 101. It's Tuesday. We're trying to start your paranormal adventure, maybe start a group or get you involved in the paranormal community. These are the different types of approaches, and not one is the correct one. It's all that matters with your group. So everyone, have a fantastic Tuesday. Have a fantastic rest of your week.